Welcome to The Author Show, where we present new authors and books. From fiction to self-help and everything in between, you'll find it all here. To watch the TV version of our program, visit authorswebtv.com. That's authorswebtv.com. And now, let the show begin.
Hello and welcome back to the show. This is your host, Don McCauley. Today we're welcoming program author Jackie Chase, and Jackie is the author of 100 People to Meet Before You Die. Jackie published 4 major books in the spring of 2014, and by September had received 12 International Book Award medals for those 4 books. She's a photojournalist whose observations about the cultures in over 100 countries are expressed in pictures that tell stories of people's lives and in words that bristle with insights expressed in a unique voice that's poetic and exciting, giving a feeling that the reader is there. Jackie, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and thank you for having me on the show today.
Let's start with a big question. Tell us about this book, please.
The book, 100 People to Meet Before You Die, is about the wonderful people that one can meet in the world. I've taken one chapter for each of 12 countries and shared stories and fascinating photographs of how people live, work, and play. The book has over 300 photographs. Here's an example of a condensed version of a story you might read in the book. While on a camel trek in northern Kenya, I came upon a group of young girls tending their goats all alone. These children go out into the bush for a week at a time, moving around looking for food for their goat herds. They hid behind thorn bushes until my guide finally coaxed them out to meet this new stranger with white skin. Frightened and apprehensive, they stood together in a line, not smiling. I gave each some bubble gum, hoping to teach them to blow bubbles. Only one girl was brave enough to try.
Now, who did you write your book for specifically?
I would say the curious, those wanting to learn about foreign cultures, those interested in incredible, rare photographs taken on the spur of the moment, showing how people live differently. The book is for any man or woman wanting to possibly travel to exotic places in the world like Bali or Ethiopia or Myanmar. Men or women that maybe need that extra push to travel outside their normal boundaries. Maybe even travel alone without an organized tour group.
Now, could you say that there's any type of central message or perhaps underlying theme that you could say runs throughout the book?
All my books have a theme of mutual respect, sharing between cultures, understanding and learning from differences, and the power of smiles and friendship when people are met and are different.
So if you had to choose, what would you say is the single most important idea you're sharing in this book that's really going to add value to the reader's life?
People's lives and backgrounds assume that people should be like themselves, and when they find people who are different, they sometimes dismiss or criticize them. The value of my book will add the differences that make life fun and interesting. And after my visits to over 100 countries, I'm even more curious than ever to see other fascinating cultures and to make new friends. I think that's why I chose the title, 100 People to Meet Before You Die. It opens the doors for readers to seek either by reading my book or in person, traveling new and different cultures.
Now, if you could compare your book with any book out there we might already be familiar with, which book would it be and why?
There are lots of books about women who have traveled alone through jungles, across deserts, and even in and out of foreign cities. Books like Eat, Pray, Love, or Wild, by Cheryl Strand, or the book 1,000 Times Good Night, or the book Tracks. These are examples of women who have thrived on the challenge of leaving their current reality, finding their true selves and figuring out how to deal with a simpler way of living.
So why do you recommend people travel to off-the-beaten-path types of places?
I think meeting people of more primitive cultures helps us peel back the many layers we wear that we call masks. Seeing how people are truly content with having nothing more than a grass hut and some gourds to carry water from a stream helps us to realize how unimportant materialism is. A perfect example of that is when my 14-year-old daughter said to me after trekking with some Stone Age people in New Guinea for 1 month, "Mom, I don't want to leave here. How can I go back to a school where importance is placed on competition and athletic ability? People choose to wear expensive clothing, do drugs, smoke, and drink alcohol. I've never seen or even felt contentment until I met these people here. They don't know dishonesty, jealousy, or competition. We have the expensive hiking boots, the camera gear, and special travel clothing, and they wear nothing. But who is smiling?"
Why do you think people should travel?
Travel is an education without walls. Interactions with other cultures teach us about ways of making sense of the world. You can examine several dimensions of a space. How do people use their land and build their homes? Objects, what do people value most? Activities, what do people do? Goals, What is more important to achieve and how do they do it? And feelings. How do people describe and express their emotions? Indigenous peoples don't stay inside as they live life full of smells, tastes, and sounds, as they are ready to expose their lives out in the open. So my journeys are for discovery and observation. Learning goes on all day, every day.
So how do you communicate with foreign cultures if you don't speak their language?
Communication is not difficult because we all share the sensations of human emotions, the need to affirm our sameness, and the universal capacity to laugh. We are taken way beyond what we think we can do. We all have the same universal needs like shelter, food, and safety, so locals know when they see me enter their village that I need those things. I use hand motions, eye contact, and sometimes draw a picture in the sand, as I did of the airplane flying over as I sat with some Tuareg people in the Sahara Desert outside their tent in the sand. A young man drew a picture of a bird, and I unsuccessfully tried to draw a picture and explain about a plane that carries people flying through the air.
So when you travel to places where people wear traditional clothing, do you dress in the same way?
The first question people always ask me when I tell them I've traveled to remote places where people wear loincloths or no clothing at all is, do you take your clothing off? And my answer is, of course not, I don't. I don't think people expect me to follow their ways of living. I'm a curious stranger entering their village, and they treat me usually as royalty. I respect the local customs by dressing conservatively. I always wear long pants or try to cover my legs or a sarong, like in some places like Bali, where even the men still wear sarongs. In churches and mosques, I always cover my head and remove my shoes if that is a custom. However, when nobody is watching, I hide my shoes inside my bag instead of taking the risk of leaving them outside.
Now, you've traveled to over 100 countries. Why do you travel so much?
A lot of people suggest that I'm running away from something, but instead of running away, I feel like I'm running toward diversity, adventure, discovery. I like the idea of being the adventurer rather than just seeing it. I don't know if it's a biological need or a flaw, but I feel nourished, motivated when I return from the challenges of foreign travel. I do spend a lot of time watching my back, always cautious about my safety and health, but in the end, those challenges have made me a stronger, richer person. The only regrets we ever have are the risks we didn't take. Life is short. You blink, and it's next Monday again.
What do you really enjoy about writing travel books?
Reliving all my adventures has to be the best part, refreshing my memory with notes from my journal. However, my main goal is to share what I've learned along the way. My enjoyment will come when I find even one person who will say to me, "Your photographs are incredible," or "I want to meet people from that culture. Tell me how to get started about planning a trip."
Why do you feel storytelling is important?
Storytelling has been a part of cultures for centuries. Stories explain and strengthen beliefs and morals. Without storytelling, traditions would die away. Sometimes props, costumes, or dances are used to help tell a story. For me, I use photographs. Storytelling is also a form of entertainment, and their interpretation can affect our choices in life. World experiences leave lasting impressions which go way beyond the facts and figures about a place. Having the experience for the writer, though, is not enough. A good storyteller or writer will create meaning for their readers to both enjoy and understand. The stories won't be forgotten minutes after they are read. Hopefully, they will spark enthusiasm and curiosity.
What's been your most rewarding experience since publishing your books?
I published 4 books last year and won 12 international awards. I'm working on a 5th book this year, and already, before it's published, I've won 3 more awards. And that has been extraordinary for me. I never dreamed that professional judges would find my books not only interesting to read, but also well written.
If someone would write a book about your life, what would the title be?
My blog is titled worldtraveldiva.com, and I think that sums it up in a few words.
How would you describe your writing style?
It's somewhat poetic, forcing the reader to think twice. It can be thick with images. I would much rather say, "No day could illustrate my memories," rather than "there is no way I could write down what I saw the last few days." Or "the fading sun watching the clothes dry on the bushes was not a policeman," rather than "nobody was watching to make sure the clothing was not stolen." A brown-skinned child wearing nothing but a smile, instead of "the child was naked and smiled." Or walking from the plane, I felt my lightweight pants filling with air like balloons. Spirits or wind tugged, almost lifting me off the ground as if pulling me back in time. Instead of, as I walked from the plane, the wind was strong.
Now, most authors have one specific reason for writing a book. What was your reason?
Fear of the unknowns shadows most of us. With my stories and photographs, I hope to intrigue those afraid of that first step towards travel, or at least spark a little fire of curiosity about the world and its people.
What part of this book would you say you personally like best?
The over 300 photographs. I was always told that a photograph should tell a story. When I see that photo of the Indian woman standing there kneading bread dough with her face and arms covered in flour, I can almost smell the bread baking in the clay oven.
Other than selling your work, of course, is there anything else you hope to accomplish with it?
I would just like to show people that our world isn't made up of electronics, fast food, and materialistic things. People in foreign cultures are fascinating, whether you travel to meet them or read about them in my book.
In your opinion, who should buy this book?
People that are interested in knowing more about this beautiful world we live in. People that are ready to learn about the world. I would say people that are secure in their jobs and they're ready for adventure. They're ready for education.
Well, time is getting very short, so the most important question, where can readers find you and your book?
My webpage is culturesoftheworld.com. Plus, the books are also on Amazon.com. And my publisher's page is adventuretravelpress.com.
Could you spell your name for us, please?
Yes, JackieChase.
Well, this has been just great. Our guest today has been Jackie Chase, and she is the author of 100 People to Meet Before You Die. Jackie, thanks very much for being with us today.
And thank you. It's been a pleasure. I really, truly appreciate it.
This is Don McCauley wrapping up another edition of The Author Show. Please share this interview with your family and friends so that they too may have the opportunity to discover our guest and her work. And why not spread the word on social media? We look forward to you joining us next time for another great book and another great author on The Author Show.
Thanks for listening to The Author Show. To contact us, call toll-free 1-877-955-8800. That's 877-955-8800. Or visit theauthorshow.com. That's theauthorshow.com. Tune in next time to another great author on The Author Show.